John. 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 John.
These Sci-Fi Guys want to wish John a happy birthday.
That's right. We are these Sci-Fi Guys, and it is John's birthday today.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
I'm more
I'm sorry.
worried that I kept getting closer to the screen. It's very menacing by the end of it.
I was messing around with one today, and I was just like, oh, I should just mess with John and just change all of them to John.
I was like, oh, I'm first this time, and then I was extra confused when I heard it 3 times. Hey, that was good.
I'm a little behind the weather, so let's not make me laugh too hard. Okay, everyone out there in YouTube land, internet land, and just yeah. Okay, hey, we watched Zathura this week. That's the movie we did, a space adventure. Let's go ahead and here. No, I went ahead just you had to look at what the AI did for us, It was so hard. I would take pictures.
I love it.
I took the 4 pictures of us and it kept duplicating Chad. It put 2 pictures of Chad on every one. And I'm like, and I moved the positions, I changed them around, and it would still duplicate Chad or it would duplicate Shane. And I'm like, there's only 4 pictures. Why does it keep putting 5 people up? So finally, I took one of the
Chad,
ones that
you
we
and
had
I are
already.
just extra important. We're just extra important.
I guess so.
It knows who the better looking one is out of this group.
Hey, there you go.
Guess. So I finally just took one of the ones that we had already done with AI and just said, "Here, edit this picture," and then that's what they did. So
there you go.
So anyway, yeah, we watched Zathura today, and Chad is going to go ahead and let me move him up here, and he's going to come with our questions. Go ahead, Chad.
Oh, questions. Let's see how good these going to be. So, these are the events purely magical, or can they be explained by sci-fi logic, like parallel universe?
See, I think that's a great question overall, and I don't necessarily think it's easy to answer. I mean, it could be explained that way, almost like, a parallel universe gets opened up that has time travel and other things. But I will say I think one of the best things about this movie is I think it hits the best middle ground on sci-fi and fantasy of a lot of films that we've had. 'Cause we've had several movies that lean very heavily fantasy. And it's okay. Like, that's just, we chose it. And then we realized, like, oh, okay, that's probably more fantasy. But, like, this one really, because it does feel almost magical. It can be explained with sci-fi, but it does feel more magical. But to me, I think that combination of it's magical, but they end up in space, lands it a lot firmer in the middle than a lot of other movies we watch. And I think I enjoy the idea that it is a little bit more of both personally. So to me, it is more magical. It could be explained logically, but it's less fun that way.
Let me unmute my mic because I've been coughing. So that would help if I unmuted. Yeah, I kind of think of the same way. It does have magical aspects to it. To me, I think it's a little bit more science fiction-y. I'm sorry. I've been coughing all day, so trying to talk is going to be a little difficult. This movie is a sequel to Jumanji, and Jumanji was very, very magical, mystical, and all that. So that's why I see those same characteristics in this movie. But because it's in outer space and you had the Zorgons and you had the astronaut, I think it could go either way. It really could. I mean, I guess I'm saying the same thing that John said, so, but he said it better.
I agree. I think there are some good elements of both. I would agree with Dave because it is so similar to Jumanji and kind of the same premise as that movie and that story was. I would lean more towards the magical, but as John said, I do think it does successfully combine sci-fi and fantasy very well in the way that it's done.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's the best of both worlds. So yeah. So with this, since you're talking about Jumanji, let's ask this question: is Zathura a direct sequel to Jumanji, or just a spiritual successor?
I would say more of a spiritual successor, because I don't think, unless I missed something, I don't think the characters align, do they? Am I correct on that?
No,
Okay.
you are correct.
So
You're correct. Yeah.
So mainly it's just the storyline. And I think they did a good job of creating it in the same image as a Jumanji movie was, but I think it had enough differences to where it kept it fresh. Using not only using the space element, but also introducing the astronaut and everything like that, which was very similar to how Jumanji did it. And there were some plot twists and things like that I wasn't expecting. I just think they did a really good job with it to make it very similar to Jumanji, however, making it stand out on its own.
You see, I read a little bit about this. I didn't do any behind the scenes stuff, but I did read that it was written by the author actually wrote it in a series of books, but it was not designed to be a sequel in the sense of you had to watch the first one to understand what was going on in the second one, because you didn't. Yeah. You could have never seen Jumanji, and this movie would have made total sense. Just seeing that if you've seen Jumanji, it just kind of makes a little bit more sense of the things that are going on with the game and all that. But yeah, I think it's more of a spiritual successor, really. If you want to go back to your original question, that's how I would answer it.
Yeah, I think I wholeheartedly agree with both of you. It definitely feels more spiritual successor, especially like retroactively now that they came out with Welcome to the Jungle with Jumanji, with the video game aspect, and that is basically a direct sequel where the game reinvented itself, whereas Zathura is like a whole separate game. So the idea is the same, but it's not really following up, Jumanji coming back to life in a different way. Like, it is just straight up a different game with the same magical, you're entering the world kind of deal. So to me, it definitely feels more spiritual successor as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. If somebody that haven't seen the original Jumanji, and this is the first time they see something like this, you don't feel so far behind, like you have to go watch Jumanji to understand it.
Right.
So I think this next question will be very good for John. So I want to hear what he says. What visual effects or design choices help sell the space environment?
So the question then is, do I start this one or do I end this one?
I think you start it. Kick it off.
Okay. Well, obviously, I'm going to go very simple to start with, and we can get slightly more complex as we go. Number one, it was dark. And I know that sounds stupid, but genuinely, lighting as a setup was very effective at making you believe it was in space. Like, it wasn't constantly light outside. There were light sources passing out. Obviously, you had, CGI space kind of out there. I do think one of the things it had going for it most was the deterioration of the house. As the game gets played, I think kind of lends itself more to you believing it's in space. Now, there comes a few times where it's like, okay, that's clearly CGI. But, I mean, it's bound to for 2005 as what I feel like was more marketed as a kid's movie. But the deterioration of the house and that setup, these wide-angle shots where they have it floating through space, the fact that they set it on its own little island, like it got cut out of the earth, I think overall all of those, you throw all those together, you got a good space set, even for it to be 05.
Shane?
I keep wanting to unmute in the picture, not down on my little screen down at the bottom. I mean, visually, I thought they did a really good job with it. One of the things I really enjoyed is it seemed like every time there was an outer space scene, you always saw the bicycle floating around everywhere. You constantly saw that bicycle everywhere you went, and even at the very end, after they were there, and then all of a sudden the bicycle lands from nowhere, and I don't know, you just got the feeling that it was from outer space. Right after the first move, and then all the meteor shower. After that point, you just kind of knew, especially when they were, hey, why is it only in the living room? So you knew something was off. And then, like John said, just the deterioration of the house, how it just kept coming apart, and then one of the effects I liked is when the Zorgons were flying by, how, as John said, it's blackout, it's space, but you just caught the glimpse of the light in their cockpit as it went by the window. It was a nice effect.
I agree. I also think that the shooting star effect was done really well. It was very I can't think of the word. It was very, very majestic as it came by, to be honest with you. And it seemed like something, it had kind of an awe sort of effect to it. And I thought it was done very well. I had the feeling, and y'all got to tell me what you think. I had the feeling that there was an opportunity for this movie, for the effects to come out very cheesy. But I think they did a good job of it not being that way. I think, as John pointed out, the lighting, everything about it made you feel like this was a real thing. It really made you feel like when you open the door, oh my word, you're in space. You were on Earth, now you're floating around in space in your house. And how they did the effects the whole way through, I thought was really, really good. It made it feel real to me. And I think they could have been very cheap with it and not paid that close attention to detail, and I think they really did, and I think they nailed it. I really do.
Yeah, the visual effects I like. There's movies out there I do not like when they just stay in one area. They focus. All it was, they focused around the house. To me, that I would have like, if I saw this and that's all you saw, and just play around the house. And the visual effects, how this movie made it seems like there was not just there. It was something that happened that each movie kept that way. It's not in one room. So the environment, how they made it look like it was a bigger set than what it really was. So with that, what's the significance of the retro design of the board game?
Jumanji references back to that, just with the old school a board game and everything like that. It pays homage to that a little bit.
Yeah,
I was just thinking it pays homage to the house, because I think that was one of the parts that the dad was saying from the beginning was, hey, this is an old house, I want to fix it up for us, to be an enjoyable place for you guys. Yes, it's old, yes, it's got some creaks and all that, but it's still fun. And eventually, they realized, oh, the game has got some weird aspects to it, but it's still, it could be fun, I mean, if you're not running for your lives, but
that's fair. I think there's a couple of, I think from a very realistic standpoint, it just makes it more visually interesting for the movie as a whole. I definitely think, especially the way you spin instead of a dice, you have that cool little turn the key, spin the thing. Like, it just makes it more visually interesting. I think storyline wise, I think it makes it more mystical and just adds to this idea that like, ooh, this old mysterious board game, and has it been played before? Oh, has it been here with the house the whole time? Did we have it before the house? Like, it just adds an element of mystery and mysticalness to it that I think makes the magic of the game kind of pop out a little more too.
Yeah. See, I love how the board game made it look like it's back in the, what is it, 50s, 60s area? The metal tin cast games where, I think they were just coming up with how instead of, hey, here, let me roll dice and roll 10. This only can go from either from 1 to 9. It never can go 10. So, I mean, nice. Yeah, it pays homage to the house. So I agree with all of that. So last two questions. I'm going to do this bonus question because it's more thought provoking. Could the game be a metaphor for unresolved family trauma or sibling rivalry?
I'm not sure if the game could. I mean, the obviously they did. They had a lot of it. I mean, obviously the one brother blamed the younger brother. That his parents got divorced. The game didn't cause that. The game might
bring out.
Yeah, I was going to say bring out. I was trying to think of a better word for bring out. Probably we'll just stick with that.
It was like a catalyst for it.
Yeah, catalyst. Thank you. That's the word I was trying to look. It could have been the catalyst for it, but I don't think the game itself was the. Well, I guess you're asking if it could be a metaphor.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it could.
Yeah, I think that the game provided opportunity for those things to be brought out, for those things to be kind of brought to light, honestly, because they were arguing back and forth before the game was playing, absolutely, but you didn't know why. You thought it was just normal brother stuff, but you saw that there was a little something in there that just wasn't right. And then as the game went on, then these things they started to come out, and you got the why. It's almost like you were in a therapy session and you were trying to get a breakthrough to find out what's going on, and that one trigger hit, and then that's when it came out. So the game itself might not have been a metaphor, but because of what all was going on, the game, as y'all said, brought that out.
And see, I would almost go a step further with the being a catalyst, because it almost seems like that was the game's intent to a point, because it kept leading them to situations where they would eventually have to work together. And I understand part of that's just plot and writing and all that. But at the same time, if we imagine this game as some mystical thing that can draw people in and send them into space and have them play a game, I mean, it's deciding which cards come out realistically. And so it almost feels like it's guiding them to be closer and to have to work together in certain situations, and even opening up this idea of themselves, but from a time when they messed up in a parallel universe, and it's like, okay, maybe the game is just their therapist and it's just trying to get them to work together. But I think in that sense, that is where the metaphor steps in a little bit more, because that tends to be, obviously you argue during games, but game times in most households bring you together for a time where you're playing together, even if they get competitive eventually. At least on the front end, they bring the whole family together. And I think that idea is definitely there as a metaphor, maybe less so than the trauma or sibling rivalry, but like they said, it definitely brings that idea out as they go through and play.
Yeah, I agree. This was more the game was probably not built for, hey, that's for sibling or family trauma. But the thing is, they brought them together as they started off, hey, come look at this. I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it. I don't want to play it. But you saw the very big character arc while I'm playing. It brought them together at the end. So, all right, let's look at the last one. How does Zathura explore the idea of responsibility and maturity?
I think it definitely hits on younger kids are definitely less mature and less responsible, but they can also step up in time of need. But you definitely see a difference in the ages in this movie, um, all the way from annoyed teenager who's having to watch younger sibling to slightly older younger sibling who takes on more responsibility and tries to carry stuff more to younger sibling who makes a lot of silly decisions throughout the game just because they're a kid. And then this mix of like they all make weird decisions and then make the right decisions. I think again, ultimately, it comes down to yes, age plays into maturity and responsibility, but surviving can often trump the level you're at that time. And so that need to survive often made them more mature in the moment.
I agree. I think you see both character arcs of the brother kind of grow to where they need to be. The older brother is really and truly he's kind of immature in his own right, really and truly because of
Yeah,
how
he likes Brett Favre.
Yeah, I know that's crazy. But you see him go from this nonchalant, non-caring kind of teenager thing to him kind of mature into this protector, this kind of provider, sort of like a hey, I'm the only one that can mess with my brother. If anybody else does, they're in trouble. It's kind of that thing. But you also see the younger brother, he also matures as well to where he kind of realizes, hey, I need to kind of grow up so that I can be more helpful to my older brother as well. So you see some of both of that, I think.
Yeah. I really can't add too much more to that other than I liked Walter's his whole, especially with the astronaut, how he was the astronaut and then he made a poor decision the first time around. And then, that's why kind of when you go back to sci-fi-ish, your first question that you did,
Yeah.
purely magical or if they're parallel universe, I can see both again. I can see the parallel universe. All right. Walter becomes the astronaut, in this parallel universe. But then this time he chooses Brett Favre for some reason. Yeah. I mean, you could have had Warren Sapp. I mean, you could have had anybody. But no, I'm kidding. I digress. But no, seriously, you could see his line of how he changed from basically the first time around where he wished his brother away. And then the second time, hey, he just wanted an autographed football,
Yep.
Yeah, there's not much to add, but other than at least it was Brett Favre, not a UF football.
No, that would have been a good thing if he'd have done that. I'm just
Yeah. I was gonna
Just
say,
saying.
No,
see,
I
would,
think
even
it's
to
a bad
this,
thing.
I do not like the Dallas Cowboys. I will be honest. I will be on record. Hey, I don't like them. I'll tell you. But if somebody gave me an Emmitt Smith jersey, I would wear it proudly
Mhm.
because Emmitt Smith went to Florida and he was awesome. So, thank you. All right.
I'll say, Dave, not even Cowboys fans always like the Cowboys, so
Yeah.
That's
Well,
fair.
it's fair.
That is very
true.
fair. Mhm.
This is true. We won't go into football though, or we won't anymore. Because we're going to talk about Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie a 77. Popcorn meter gave it a 51. I'm not going to read
See, I'm more
the
shocked that's not
synopsis.
reversed either.
I know.
No.
Like 2 movies in a row.
Yeah, it really was. Okay. Budget was $65 million. Did it make money? Chad.
So I'm trying to think. I won't say no.
John.
Are we talking strictly theatrically?
I don't know what you mean.
Because I remember this being syndicated at some point. I almost think in theaters it didn't make money.
Just in theaters.
No.
Okay. Shane.
I'll say it did, but I don't think it made a big jump.
All right. You're going to be surprised at this. All right. It originally grossed 29 million domestically,
Mm.
35.8 million internationally. It made a total of 65.079 million. So it barely made any money.
Barely.
I would, if you say no, it didn't make
Barely.
any money, I would say yeah, that's fine, because it basically broke even.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
only made what 79,000.
79,000 basically. That's chump change. You know.
Yeah, especially
Chump
for a
change.
theater or a movie studio.
Yeah, yeah. So now that we got that, let's go ahead and rate this. Okay, we're going to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 5 lightsabers. Chad was the first one that chose it, so he gets to rate it first.
So with this, like I said, you don't have to go watch Jumanji to understand this movie. When I was watching it, I was rating in my head. So I'm like, well, begin. I was like, okay, I don't. I'm just gonna get the game. Trying to see. I was starting off with a 2, going work my way up. I don't think it's a 5. It's not as I'm gonna rate this around about 3.5. I would rewatch this just because it's what it is. It kept you entertained.
Okay. Shane, how about you?
So I'll be honest, I was concerned whenever I saw how close it was going to be to the Jumanji storyline. I was kind of worried that it might not live up to what I thought of the original Jumanji movie, because I really enjoyed it. But I'll be honest, after watching it, I really enjoyed it. I think it did a really good job of, even though it was a very similar storyline, it had its own elements that kept it fresh. So I think they did a good job with it. I will actually agree with Chad, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well.
All right, John.
I'm not gonna lie, I struggled to rate this one a little bit. The child of me wants to give it an immediate 5 because I really enjoyed it as a kid. But if we're looking at this from technical aspects and the way we do things here, that wouldn't work. Overall, I think they put effort into this film, and a lot more effort than we've seen in some. So it's not like super low for me, just because they definitely went into a lot of detail, definitely put a lot of effort in. The story was good, not a whole lot of major complications. You can tell it was, geared towards kids a little more, and I'm okay with that. Highly entertaining, even as an adult, easy to watch, not many issues. I enjoyed it again as an adult. So for me, it lands kind of solidly in the middle. And looking at our other ratings, because I did kind of do that just to solidify where I landed. Um, I think it matches up with a lot of our other threes as well, or at least the threes I've given as well. And so I couldn't really rate it higher than those, but I also didn't feel like rating it lower. So I'm at a 3.
No, okay. Well, you know me, I'm the Grinch. So I typically rate things a little bit harder than you guys do. And I gave this a 2.5. I didn't care for the actors at all. I really thought they were flat. Get better acting in there. And yeah, the movie, the premise was fine. The special effects for the time I thought were really good. And like Chad was saying, did it feel like it was in space? Yeah, it did. I love the robot. I really did. I thought the robot was cool. I thought he was the fun part. The Gorgons needed a lot of work. They just no, there was something like, okay, if you're gonna do that, all right, go simple route and go like, a cyborg or something. If you're gonna go scaly alien, make sure they're menacing. But I understand you're trying to write it. You're trying to do it for kids. You didn't want to be too scary for the kids. So that's why I did that's why I rated it where I did. So, okay, let's fix it. Since I'm talking and I'm not coughing, let me go ahead and say my part. Change the actors, all of them except for Dax. Dax was fine. The astronaut, I liked him a lot. I thought he was a good don't know. He kind of remind me of who's the guy on Scrubs? I can't think of his name. So he kind of reminded me of him a little bit. So that's why I kind of thought, like, okay, well, is he the astronaut? Is he supposed to be a smart astronaut, or is he supposed to be the comic relief? So again, he was okay. Again, just change the actors, especially Kristen Bell. She had no part in the movie at all. Why even put her in it? There's no reason to it. Just take that out. Just have it be the two boys. If you want to, make them just slightly a little bit older so they can stay at home alone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can still get the same aspect of it. Some lines in there, like he was getting ready to make macaroni and cheese. What was the whole point of that? Was it just to show that there was a pilot light there? Again, little stuff like that are what bothered me. It was a lot of the little stuff. Yeah, and then again, fix the aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Fix the aliens. Change some actors out. Yeah, Chris, the girl, I don't think she would. It was just, I think they would put theirs that way. Hey, go watch your brothers. Make sure they didn't burn stuff down. I think that's all it was. Sat in the background. But take her out. She doesn't really need to be in there. The two boys, I've seen the older boy in something before, and I can't remember where I've seen him from. But he wasn't good in that movie either. So
He was in the Hunger Game movies.
Mm.
He was
Yeah,
Pita or Petra.
Bridge to Terabithia. He was in a lot of my childhood movies.
Yeah. It was no, hold on. No, the C.S. Lewis, the Lion, Wrench, and Wardrobe. He was the younger brother that betrayed. I think now they said thing is, but change him out. It didn't mesh that well. I would make the older brother, the older one, a little bit older, and the younger one keep it the same because it was the childish antics that kind of brought some stuff out. Hey, I want to play this. I want to play this. The annoying little brother. Other than that little small little, hey, how's the water working? How's the pilot light there? The little small thing. You're in space. Wasn't that supposed to be cut off when your house lifted up? So, other than just little things like that.
He was also in Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah.
Five Nights with Freddy.
Race to Witch Mountain.
Oh yeah, the new one with the Rock, or
Yeah, the newer one.
Yeah.
For me to fix this one, Jumanji brought the game into the real world. New Jumanji took people and put them in the game. And this one put them in the game, but I think it did it a little too early in terms of cinema history. I would have almost liked to have seen it be a mix where they wouldn't have been launched into space, but they would have maybe been brought into the game board and it transformed a little bit into, maybe they're on the surface of a planet or something. They have to ride those like carts around or the rockets around the planet, something like that, where they're kind of drawn onto the board itself. Because Jumanji, when it came out, did a great job of bringing the game into the world. And Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle did a great job of bringing the world into the game. And I think this one could have done a better mix if it was like on the game board, not necessarily the movement of worlds one way or the other. Outside of that, I agree with actors. I didn't really mind these guys as a kid, but as an adult, and I'm like, yeah, you guys are kind of lacking. Like you guys got a lot of roles eventually, but yeah, a little rough in this one. But overall, those would be my two, kind of that middle ground in terms of the game itself, and then fixing the actors.
So for me, I actually liked when the aliens first showed up, when they were hiding from them in the rooms as they were trying to come up the stairs. I think they did a good job from a musical standpoint. of really kind of setting up the suspense for them, and how you just saw a little bit of the mouth and the tongue and things. I did think that at that point was menacing, but then, like Dave said, when you saw the full thing, you were like, well, this is kind of dumb. um, um I would have liked maybe a little more CGI effect with them, like to make them more nimble and moving around than just these kind of, you could tell that not a lot of effort was put into them once you saw them, I felt like. I would have even liked, and I don't know how this would have worked, it's just a thing I'm throwing out there. I would have even liked to seen this actually as a sequel to Jumanji, to where you have the same characters later on. They somehow find this one, and like John was talking about, instead of it bringing all of the things out, it sucks them in and makes them a part of the game, where they're like, oh no, not this again. But it's in a totally new environment, so they have to figure all of this out. But they have some previous experience from the actual Jumanji game, so it kind of helps them through. I don't know how it would have worked, but it's just an idea.
Yeah, look at that budget. That would not have happened.
Not in that budget, but I mean, we're talking about fixing, so I mean,
Yeah,
This is true.
money is no object. Money's no object.
Yeah. Well, at this point, we're gonna do something we haven't done in a while. We're gonna go do some other sci-fi stuff. Okay, this is on to Chad because he's the one that saw this movie, and take it away.
So I watched over the past couple of weeks. I've had some recommendations of some other episodes to watch. I've had recommended to watch on Apple TV the Silo series. So if you into stuff like where you're almost mixed into, hey, it's a Mad Max type, something happened outside and they're stuck inside, and it's very, very. I loved how it was set up. It kept it. I watched episode 1 just try to see if I was gonna like it. It keeps you on your toes, right? Like it should. I watched this. I think it was 2 seasons or 3. I think it's 2 or 3 that's on there now. I watched all the seasons. Yeah, it's only 2. I watched both seasons within the weekend of watching it the first time. What's good, the main villain and almost all of them is Tim Robbins, and we just saw in this the dead in this movie we just watched, and it is set up great, and I would highly recommend watching. Now I'm trying to wait on. I want to read that. There's actually books out there based off this, so I want to read or at least listen to the books to get caught up in more.
Sounds interesting. I was just looking at the cast, and yeah, you're right. He's like the only one that's kind of famous. Everyone else is kind of a no name.
Yeah,
but that's how a lot of these series start out as. That's how people get their start. Like when I've been watching The Ark. I'm expecting to see all those actors and other things. So,
Crypto Enterprise.
please contact us. Tell us if you agree with our ratings or how you would fix or improve this movie, or if there's a movie that you would like us to review. The easiest way to do that is if you're watching us on YouTube is to comment below. For those of you that are audio only listeners, you can reach us on either X or Facebook at TheseSciFiGuys. Or you could email us, TheseSciFiGuys@gmail.com. Well, everyone, coming up next we're going to go ahead and go beyond the big screen again. Like I said, we're doing that just for the summer. And everyone seems to really enjoy those, where we're watching pilots of, I don't want to say famous TV shows, but of science fiction TV shows. Let's just leave it at that because
Yeah.
a couple of ones that I picked may not necessarily be famous. Let's just say. The one we're gonna do next is I don't want to say too much about it because Dr. Music hasn't watched it yet. He's gonna watch it this week, and he's actually gonna watch the movie first before he watches this. And it was Stargate SG-1. We're gonna watch Children of the Gods. Is gonna be the pilot. It's about an hour and a half. It's not a full 2-hour movie, but yeah. I don't want to say too much because I know Shane needs to watch. He's gonna watch the movie first, and then watch this next. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I can tell y'all, Stargate SG-1 is probably my favorite TV series of all of the science fiction ones. I like it better than Star Trek. I like it better than anything Disney's or Marvel's put out. You know? I mean, it's just it was fun because it was based on Earth. Let's put it that way. Not futuristic Earth, but era 1996, 97.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. Mid-90s Earth. So, and that's when it came out, was mid-90s Earth. So, anyway. And then, of course, right around the corner, we've got our 100th episode. So we've got a couple weeks away. We're going to be doing a 100th episode. We are all going to be rating. We're going to go through. We're not going to go through every single movie we've watched over the last 3 years because we can't do that. It's been 3.5 years. 3.5 years. We can't do that because Shane hasn't seen all the movies. So what we've done is we made a list of all the movies we've seen, and Shane's like, I've seen it. So we're going to go back through some of those, and then we're going to rack and stack them, and we're going to have, as these sci-fi guys, we're going to have a group listing of what we feel is the top 50 movies of the ones that we picked. And we have 53 movies. Yeah, 53 movies that we have that Shane has seen with us and on his own. And so yeah, we're gonna rate them, and we're gonna do them in different tiers, and then it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of discussion because I guarantee you there's some of them that I'm gonna put in tier 1 that Chad's gonna be like, no way, no, and Shane's gonna be like, and then I'm gonna say, you want Arrival to be where? So
Yep.
Yeah. Again, I just use that one as an example because I remember how varied we were when it came to the ratings, and we are rating them on how much we enjoyed them. We're not rating them on plot holes. We're not rating them on videography. It's just how much did you enjoy it and want to watch them again.
Pure entertainment.
Pure entertainment. Yep, that's it. So anyway, remember, no matter where you go, there you are. Until next time.
Crash and burn.
These Sci-Fi Guys is an independent broadcast by the Sci-Fi Guy Productions. For more information on upcoming episodes, follow us on Twitter or X at These Sci-Fi Guys. For our audio-only listeners, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment to let us know how we're doing.